You are listening to Think Theory Radio. Radio. Hello and welcome to Think Theory Radio, the show that brings you topics outside the mainstream realm of thought and ideas to make you think. And I'm your host, Damian Perdue, your mysterious guide on this audio ride of radio delights. And of course, I'm joined by Paulie C.
Yo.
And today the C stands for chapel.
Okay.
Only because that's the location we're going to in this episode of Mysterious Places.
You and me in a chapel?
Yeah. Sounds like a bad joke.
Right?
Two guys with glasses who like to drink a lot go into a chapel. And, so I don't know. Mysterious?
The punchline is what? They sobered up and became born-again Christians.
Yeah, they sobered up.
It's not funny at all. Sorry, I did go on with your chapel thing. I
don't know. I was waiting for another.
No, I'm not. This isn't a joke writing session. That was the best I got. I set the bar there so anyone can trip over it if they feel like it.
Well, what about a title writing session? Because I'm not sold on because I'm thinking this could possibly be another recurring theme on Think Theory Radio.
Okay.
Mysterious places.
Okay.
Or is places too generic? Mysterious locales.
Okay. How about like wonders of the world or...
But then that's like the seven wonders of the world and,
Mysterious locales and places to astonish.
Places to venture. Places to disappear.
Well, it's a working title.
Yeah. Mysterious places, though. There's so many in the world. We have yet to find the answers. And of course, there's tons. I debate on doing it as a recurring episode just because a lot of the places are kind of very well known about, like Bermuda Triangle, Nazca Lines, and all these stuff. So I'm trying to, like Think Theory Radio, trying to find the unique spots in the world. Like we find the unique topics. And so I have, I think, two kind of unique that you don't really hear about a lot, but then one is kind of known, right?
Like the Bermuda Triangle or something?
Yeah, exactly.
Like the famous, like that. Yeah. And even then, isn't that all kind of like just really amped up? Like it was just a story that someone, like there's a couple planes that disappeared and they're like, oh, it's a mysterious corridor of haunted amusement. I don't know.
Right. Well, that's all, and that's the other good part, or like fun part about it is, it depends on what you believe, but like for me, it's trying to, debunk the myths or find the kind of scientific reasoning for why these places have some kind of mystical element to them, if it's possible. I mean, you have a lot of them that are just kind of, they're mysterious because they are unexplained, and, you can't really get farther than what we know. I don't want to keep going on the Bermuda Triangle, so. But there is mysterious stuff there. But one so this is one I keep seeing pop up on social media recently, and it's known it's been it was brought up it was a key feature in the Da Vinci Code, which I never read the book, but I did see the movie. And
I got about like 2 chapters or so into Angels and Demons, which I think is in that whole universe. Dan Brown. Yeah. I liked it. It was just a friend's book that I was kind of reading while he wasn't reading it in the moment. So I didn't get to stay with it.
Like a dentist office book.
Yeah, it kind of was that, yeah.
Well, this is Rosslyn Chapel in Scotland, which I guess was a key feature in the book. I guess it was in the movie. I don't really honestly remember the movie all that much, but I keep seeing it pop up on Instagram because of a more current addition to the kind of esoteric nature of this place, which is that there are these strange kind of sacred geometric symbols, inside the architecture of the building, which I'll get to in a little bit because I want to read a little bit more about the kind of past things about it. But this father and son believe that it's some kind of musical code, and they actually like made a song out of it, which is interesting. But the Rosslyn Chapel, officially known as the Collegiate Chapel of St. Matthew, was in Rosslyn, Midlothian, Scotland. Not Midlothian, Illinois, just saying.
Yeah, I was going to say.
Founded in the 15th century by William Sinclair, the first Earl of the Caithness of the Scoto-Norman Sinclair family.
Say that 10 times fast.
The first Earl. The chapel took about 40 years to complete, and probably because it has like these ornate stone carvings adorning the walls. Now, it has been said that Mr. Sinclair, or I don't know if you're an Earl, are you a Sir? I don't know if you're knighted or not, but Mr. Sinclair was like a master Freemason. Okay, so this is, of course, anytime you involve Freemasons in something.
All right, so you want your British nobility lesson here?
Sure.
An Earl is the third highest rank in the peerage system, below a Duke and a Marquess, and above a Viscount and a Baron.
Okay.
Yeah. Does that answer your question?
No.
Okay. Sounds kind of
It gives me
important.
more info.
Yeah.
I don't know if that means, because if you're a Sir, it means you're knighted, but is an Earl automatically knighted?
No, I wouldn't think that an Earl's automatically knighted. I think if you were a standout Earl, though, and an exemplary Earl.
He was an exemplary Earl.
An Earl of notoriety.
Yeah.
Anyway.
So yeah, there's a lot of different kind of crazy details about this place as far as kind of mystical, mystery, like Freemason symbols, like a Holy Grail secret, supposedly. There's a lot tied into the Knights Templar in this chapel. Some say like the Holy Grail is buried in the basement. And there's even one about the Jesus Christ's head is buried there, supposedly.
Okay.
But there's the Apprentice Pillar murder was one of the most enduring and tragic stories surrounding one of the most ornate columns, which is the Apprentice Pillar. The legend is that the master mason, upon receiving a complex design for a new pillar, traveled to Rome to study a similar column. During his absence, his talented apprentice, inspired by a dream, flawlessly completed the pillar himself. And then a jealous rage when the master returned, and he was consumed because the apprentice had surpassed his skill. He struck the young man on the head with a mallet and killed him instantly. And as punishment, the master was executed. Now, today you can find the carved heads of both the apprentice with a wound on his forehead and the remorseful master in the chapel, eternally facing the pillar. Dun, 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 dun. And then there's the sealed crypts and hidden treasures. Like I was mentioning, there's it's supposedly was built with a large, elaborate crypt beneath it, which has now been sealed shut for centuries, and it's inaccessible to visitors. And many have tried. They even tried to, I guess they were trying to drill a hole to get down in there, and it's built on so much sandy kind of earth that it just instantly fills up with sand. So they're worried about damaging it, and there was some kind of like injunction put on it, like you can't go down there anymore. That's it. Don't try. So who knows if we'll ever know, unless they used LiDAR or something. I don't know if anyone's tried that, but there supposedly is a Knights Templar treasure, which is one of the most popular theories that Knights fleeing persecution by the French king in the 1300s brought their legendary treasure to Scotland and hid it at Rosslyn. And also other versions say that the crypt holds the Holy Grail itself, the Ark of the Covenant, other biblical relics. But there's a couple interesting things, though, within the symbolism that's carved into the architecture. One is that there's foreign plants, and some of the carvings depict what looks to be American plants or plants found in the New World, as they would say, such as maize or corn and aloe vera. Now, the interesting thing is that it was constructed 50 years before Christopher Columbus's voyage, which some suggest that the Sinclairs had connections to explorers who secretly reached the New World before him, although we know the Vikings were here. Come on. And possibly the Chinese and possibly others, African kings might have. So I feel like there was probably knowledge of those plants in Europe at the time, 50 years before Christopher Columbus. That can be explained. Pagan symbols, though. We have over 100 carvings of the green man, not like a Martian. An ancient pagan symbol of nature and rebirth are found throughout the chapel, which is unusual for a Christian, church or place of worship. And the speculation is about some kind of hidden belief system. Now, it could be that a lot of, I tried to look up, see if it was built on any kind of pagan ground, which I couldn't find any evidence of. But I do know that was a big thing with Christian church builders, especially like, kind of colonizing when they would, go into another country and get rid of the pagan religious system. A lot of times they would build these churches on top of these sacred lands. I mean, the Vatican is built on an old pagan site. A lot of the Mayan, the churches in the Mayan area were built, like they made them deconstruct the pyramids and rebuild it as a church. So I wonder if that was just kind of like incorporated in there as homage to that. But I guess green men are portrayed as carvings of human faces with greenery all around them, often with branches or vines that sprout from the nose, mouth, or other parts of the face. According to one interpretation, the green man is an ancient Celtic vegetation god, peering out from within the carved foliage. And he's present on Roslyn's most celebrated structure, the Apprentice Pillar, which I mentioned earlier, which is the chain of dragons nibble away at the roots of what's been interpreted as the Nordic tree of life, possibly. Now, here we go with the hidden signs on the ceiling. And this is one of the most interesting, fascinating features. This is kind of what brought me into it, is that apparently hidden, or at least lost in time, these carvings is a musical code. Okay. Quoting from this article in Ancient Origins, says, it took Mr. Mitchell Sr. 27 years of painstaking study to discover the pitches and tonality of rectangles and cubes adorning arches in Rosslyn Chapel ceiling, dubbed Frozen Music. He later wrote the book Music of the Cubes, providing a unique insight into the hidden symphonies contained within the carvings at the historic building. Now, what they say, now what's interesting, the frozen music, that is, I feel like Plato or Aristotle, that's what he called architecture, is frozen music. And, but basically, if you look at the pictures of it, they have these kind of cubes that jet out from the arches inside the ceiling, inside the chapel, and they all have kind of these different geometric patterns. And one person I saw online was saying that if you unfold them, they look very similar to cymatic. Have you ever seen cymatics? Where it's basically you could take a bowl of sand or water, and if you attach it to speaker or some kind of vibrations, it'll create these different geometric patterns. And depending on the frequencies you use, they can create different ones. Some are very intricate, ornate. And then if the music is more chaotic, and they've even done it with words and like tonalities, like the more stressed out a person is or angry, the structures it builds are kind of like distorted and not uniform.
Okay.
But with the more, melodious type tunes, even like classical music and stuff like that, it actually creates these kind of, more intricate patterns. So this father-son team believed that these were some kind of embedded codes. And the writer Jeff Nisbet told the Herald, we can see that William Sinclair encoded a very this is separate, but it's another encoded message in the architecture, supposedly. And this is about kind of the naturalistic symbols inside the chapel. And quoting Mr. Nesbitt says, "We can here see that William Sinclair coded a very naturalistic message into his ceiling. He tells us it's the sun acting in concert with the tilted earth and the pollinating insects that makes things grow, as shown in the 4 flower-filled courses of the chapel ceiling. Moreover, since the sun's light passes each day through Roslyn's arched ceilings of things that grow on earth, it seems plausible that William was symbolically and correctly recording that our planet, contrary to church dogma, turns once daily on its axis and once annually around the sun. This would have been a rather dangerous message to write large in his chapel, high over the heads of the assembled Rosslyn congregation. History tells us that Giordano Bruno, 254 years after Roslyn's founding, was burned alive in Rome for professing, among other heresies, his belief in a heliocentric world." So I thought that was pretty interesting, that if William Sinclair had knowledge of, the world being round and not the center of the universe, as the church believed for a long time, until essentially Copernicus, basically, that he hid that message within the architecture. And I thought that's pretty fascinating, if that's true or not. Obviously we'll never know, because William Sinclair is not around anymore. But I mean, I could believe it. I mean, I think the knowledge was there, and he would obviously have known, hey, I can't say this outright or I could be killed. There's also and then you get into the really strange stuff. Like there's Rosslyn Chapel hides a portal. And all 3 of the places that I picked today all have 2 things in common, or probably more than that. But one is they all have some kind of portal to another dimension or universe, and that there are UFO sightings at all 3 of these places, a lot. One of the strangest theories concerns Rosslyn Chapel is that a portal to another world or universe exists there. Author Brian Allen has explored this theory extensively and believes that the portal or gateway is real. It is opened by using specific frequencies that can be recreated in the immediate vicinity around the chapel. He's even claimed that he and his wife once managed to open the portal to such a degree that they were lifted off their feet. Allen states that he has far from learned how to master opening the portal, however. And he said that sinister forces right here on Earth have knowledge of the portal and how to use it. And they are keeping it from us. And then, as I mentioned, UFO sightings. There's been many reported sightings. Supposedly, Scotland itself has the largest number of UFO sightings in the world for the kind of size of a country it is.
Okay.
Right? So it's, it's distance, whatever. And I guess near the chapel, there are more sightings than usual in the rest of Scotland as well. And yeah, there's all kind of, it lies right in the middle of an area known as the Falkirk Triangle, which is kind of like, the Bermuda Triangle. Maybe we'll get into it about the Falkirk Triangle.
Yeah, I've never heard of that one.
Yeah. And I was trying to find the one about, there we go. This one I thought was pretty interesting because Keith Laidler in his book, 1998 book, The Head of God, The Lost Treasure of the Templars, suggested that the embalmed head of Jesus Christ lies in rest at the old church. Argues that the head of Christ was likely brought to the chapel by the Knights Templar who had a history of carving out such activities, and that one reason is they were forced underground was charges of their worship to Baphomet, which some perceive as a demonic deity, but it's actually just an ancient pagan god, said to be symbolized by a severed head. But Laidler argues that this head is actually the head of Jesus.
Huh. Just holding on to that, huh?
Yeah, I know. Even at this point, even at the point of it was built in the 1500s. Okay.
Yeah, so it's still a long time.
Yeah, it's 1,500 years since he died.
Yeah.
How would the head even? Well, they said it was embalmed.
Still.
Yeah.
I don't know. But then it's who's holding on to, someone had to safekeep that for so long,
Mm-hmm.
Do you trust that?
Never. But I do like the concept of the messages in the carvings, which I do know that's a big thing with Freemasons. They do put a lot of messages within their architecture. The whole cymatic connection, different frequencies, it's a possibility. There's also one stone pillar appears to show a strand of DNA, which wouldn't have been identified until the 1950s. But is it all what people think it is, or just, a case of pareidolia and the human mind seeing what it wants to see and hear? Now, the cymatics thing, I could see that because I know for a fact that there's, ancient temples and places that were built with frequencies in mind. So, for a Freemason to have knowledge of that and incorporate it in some kind of way in the architecture, I could see that. Jesus' head, I don't know. That one, yeah. That's a little too horror movie for me, but... All right, we got to take a quick break. When we come back, we will venture to the desert. First, a desert in Arizona, then a desert in Mexico. What will we find there? Up next on Think Theory Radio. Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. Today we are venturing out, traveling the world, and visiting mysterious places and or locales. Well, that's the same thing. Locations?
Still working on that title.
Mysterious GPS coordinates. All right. We
Degrees and minutes of mystery. I don't know.
Oh, I like that.
Yeah.
I like that. I actually was reading about what lies at coordinates 00.
It's just in the water, right? Just like west of Africa.
Yeah.
Yeah.
There is a Bowie there. Or Bowie. Is it a Bowie?
Is there? Yeah.
Bowie.
Bowie. David Bowie.
Yeah. Yeah, there is a buoy there that it's a whole other conversation.
The opposite side of the world from 00 was what, like 180 or whatever. Mm-hmm. And you ever hear the story of like there was like a boat and like from the turn of the 18th century to the 19th century to the 20th century, that boat was just close enough to the point where it's like, oh, we could be at the international date line and the equator intersection and be in 4 different hemispheres at the same time and be in 2 different centuries at the same time.
Oh, wow.
And it was like, 2 different years, 2 different centuries, 2 different months, something like that.
And then they opened a portal.
I guess. Or they just happen to be at an arbitrary line.
Right. Well, I love all those, the kind of the background into how we have a more universal, uniform, latitude, longitude, time zones, all that stuff, because there was a period not that long ago where, everyone just kind of had their own thing. And that was the point of the 00 location, because for a while, every other country was like, well, no, the 0 line is here in our country.
Yeah.
No, it's in ours. And somebody finally said, look, we need to just pick a spot, we're here in the water, it's good.
The British must have been like, just thrilled that the Greenwich,
oh yeah,
oh well, we are the center of the.
Yep, exactly.
Slice it up and.
So, we're checking out a crazy mystical church, and now we go to a desert which has a cathedral rock. See, I tied it in there.
Okay.
Yeah. Okay. And this is, you ever heard of the Sedona Vortexes?
I have not.
Or vortices?
Yeah. Vortices.
Tomato, whatever you
Yeah.
prefer. They like to call it the vortexes. Like the new age.
Sedona, Texas? No, Sedona, Arizona. Yeah. That's what you're talking
about. But this is a mystical place. I do know some people that have been there and said they do feel this kind of crazy energy. And if you look There's a million articles written about it. The only problem is that nowadays it has become kind of a new ager kind of tourism.
It's like Santa Fe in the 80s.
Yeah, yes.
Sound like I know what I'm talking about.
Like a smaller version, yeah. But probably even more hippied out because this is predominantly their tourism is focused on, kind of going to these vortices. No, I don't know which one.
Vortices?
Vortices. Porpoises. Tortoises, porpoises, vortices. There you go. And going to, feel the energy and meditate. And there's all these different retreats and hikes. And, it's always whenever somebody's charging like $500 to go on a meditative hike, I'm always a little leery about them, no matter how many crystals they're wearing. But the legend of Sedona is pretty interesting because it goes back. I mean, this is ties into, indigenous culture, Native Americans. And you have this is one of those areas where even the current kind of, modern indigenous, like the Navajo, didn't have knowledge of who built some of the features there, like the cliff dwellings that you've seen pictures of, and I think we've even talked about on the show, like the little rock homes built into the sides of the cliff.
Oh,
there.
yeah.
This was supposedly built by the Anasazi, which is a Navajo term for the ancient ones. And this was, so by the time the Navajo were there, for them, that was even, they had no knowledge of really who built those. And the Sedona Vortex area itself was never really inhabited. They always kind of inhabited outside of it. The Sonoguans are another indigenous culture that have been there for a long time. And then you have Montezuma Castle, which is the oldest and best preserved cliff dwelling in the Southwest, which is what I'm talking about, this complex of 20 rooms built into a cliff 100 feet above the valley. And another 6-story apartment building of 45 rooms was built against the base. And early settlers, astounded by the sophisticated structures, mistook them for Aztec, and that's why they ascribed the name Castle to it. And but then going into the vortices and the ancient legends, you have this cathedral rock that I mentioned in Red Rock Crossing, where Oak Creek runs next to the cathedral rock, is a strong Sedona vortex, supposedly. Cathedral Rock is a holy place to the Native Americans who once lived in this high desert paradise. This Sedona energy vortex is purported to be the home of their gods and the birthplace of the first man and the first woman. If you look in the middle of Cathedral Rock, you can see the first man and first woman standing back to back. And the legend of Red Rock Crossing says that the first man and first woman argued constantly and could never agree. She said he never helped out around the cave.
Help out, nothing busy hunting.
He claims she nagged persistently. They finally appealed to the gods for assistance. The gods placed them in their positions back to back, but together, so they would be able to have their own views, voice, and direction, yet remain together as eternal stones. Kind of reminds me of Sodom and Gomorrah for some reason. Turn you to stone.
I don't remember.
You'll be together. Yeah. The Sodom and Gomorrah, it's the biblical story.
Yeah, I don't remember exactly.
God was like, don't look, I'm burning this place, don't look back. And then the wife looked back, she turned to stone. Anyway.
We got the head of Jesus, but where's the stone woman?
Yeah.
She got burned up?
Right.
Yeah.
Or, what do you call it?
When
you break a stone.
Oh, yeah, it's crushed.
Crushed.
I don't know. Blown up.
Blown up. Well, if it's in the Middle East, I mean.
Easy.
Probably. Well, I was going to blame us. We probably blew it up.
Yeah, right.
Droned,
yeah.
The myth of Bell Rock Vortex itself is not recognized as a specific Native American site with historical cultural significance. Instead, the myths and legends of this popular Sedona spot are otherworldly. Some believe that aliens planted a giant crystal under Bell Rock. Others claim that Bell Rock itself is an alien spaceship or trans-dimensional portal. Hence the reason humans feel an energy when visiting. I did find, I guess there is a History Channel show. The same people that do the Skinwalker Ranch one.
Yeah.
They went to Sedona, and they went, did kind of similar experiments there. I'm trying to find the truth. According to the show's logline, investigators Andy Bustamante and Paul and Andy Bustamante Monte is like the ex-CIA guy, and Paul Baban explore Bradshaw Ranch in Sedona, Arizona, and encountered dangerous radiation levels, a strange temperature anomaly, and a UAP, United Unidentified Anomalous Phenomena, or UFO for the rest of us. Executive producer David Carr says their findings at Bradshaw Ranch are compelling and warrant more airtime. And what I found interesting is that they said they detected a 1.6 gigahertz frequency there that they also detected in Skinwalker Ranch. And I was looking it up, and 1.6 gigahertz is a frequency of a non-ionizing radio frequency radiation that, at high enough levels, can heat and damage body tissue. The primary established biological effect of the RF exposure is heating. When RF energy is absorbed by the body in high amounts, can generate heat and potentially lead to tissue damage that the body cannot dissipate it effectively. Studies have shown that chronic exposure to 1.6 gigahertz radiation does not appear to cause significant genetic damage, with no significant difference in the incidence of micronuclei observed in exposed animals compared to controls. Some research has indicated that the exposure can induce cellular changes, such as modification to protein expression, like heat shock proteins, and cell ultrastructures in human fibroblasts. Get that fibroblast, man.
Sounds like an energy drink. Or,
yeah, I was gonna say it sounds like some kind
gain,
of some kind of like diet scam.
Yeah.
Your fibroblast. It's our new sponsor.
Or it's just like the Metamucil's only competitor.
Yeah, right. That's
Fibroblast. That's like colon blow on SNL.
Yeah. But I thought that was interesting that with this 1.6 gigahertz could have an effect on your at a cellular level. So if people are, experiencing some kind of energy fields here in Sedona, maybe possibly it could be from this. Who knows what kind of like mineral deposits are underneath, magnetite or something. Maybe, I don't know. But I just thought it was interesting that frequency can do something to the human body. And there's tons of, obviously, the kind of new age legends that have come about in the vortex area found in Sedona. Individuals might experience heightened intuition or psychic abilities, increased creativity, deepened meditative states, feelings of peace or rejuvenation, emotional release, or physical sensations such as tingling. Experiences can vary greatly based on individual sensitivities, openness toward these energies. And I did read a couple varying articles of personal accounts from people. One was a guy who was a skeptic, and he was saying that, I went there, and I have an open mind. I don't really believe in a lot of this stuff, but he went to, I guess, the Cathedral Rock is the one that has like the kind of highest energy flow, and he didn't feel anything. But then when they went to, I believe, the Bell Rock Vortex, he felt weird, and he kept walking around kind of like he couldn't get this kind of feeling out of his body. He did describe it as kind of somewhat of a tingling, but he wasn't really sure. But he thought it was weird that all of his friends felt something more at the other vortex, and he didn't feel anything, but he felt something here, and his friends didn't. So, he didn't really leave there as necessarily a believer, but he did say there was something, right? And I saw a lot of accounts from people who are non-believers have that kind of takeaway when they leave there that there's something, right? Another one basically just said it's like she didn't really feel anything, at one point she thought she heard like they finally found a nice place like sit down and meditate, and she could hear this like murmuring, and she thought it was the earth like talking to her. She's like, okay, finally I'm getting something, right? And then she looked, and then she like opened her eyes and she looked, and it was across the river was a bunch of like hippies chanting. She seems like, oh man, so it was not the earth. It was some other people.
Hello. Oh, the earth is telling me something.
Yeah, right.
Saying buy more patchouli. What?
No, it's according to archaeologists, the history of Red Rock country dates back approximately 10,000 years, when the Native American cave dwellers first inhabited the caves in and around Sedona, originally inhabited by the Sinagua tribe, who I mentioned earlier, and they left behind their own unique cultural footprint. And Sedona today is populated by the Hopi, Navajo, Tonto Apaches, and Yavapai. And they've long revered the land surrounding today's modern Sedona Vortexes and Red Rock country, including Oak Creek. They believe it has spiritual significance and respected its natural beauty. Sedona is home to numerous Native American sacred sites throughout the area. The vortexes such as Bell Rock, Cathedral Rock, and Boynton Canyon Vortex are believed to be inhabited by powerful spirits. In 1583, the first Europeans, a Spanish expedition in search of mines, arrived in Red Rock country. The first permanent settler, John James Thompson, squatted in Oak Creek Canyon in 1876, marking the beginning of Sedona's new identity as a small, remote ranching and farming settlement. By the early 1900s, the settlement near Oak Creek was home to 24 families who created irrigation ditches to plant crops and orchards. And then little by little, it got bigger and bigger. And it earned its moniker in 1902 when Theodore Schnebly petitioned for a new postal station, naming the new post office after his wife. But originally, he submitted the name Schnebly Station, which is a horrible name.
Yeah. Sorry, Schnepley.
Yeah. They denied the application, saying it was too many letters. So he resubmitted Sedona. And there's different theories on the word Sedona. They believe that it might have been a Sinaguan word, Seduna, Sidoona, and there's a different other couple of indigenous variations on that, which might be where he got the name, which is a better name. Because you imagine, and you got to think too, and aside from like the indigenous beliefs of the area for the more New Agers, if it was called like the Schnebly Station Vortexes, I don't think it'd be as popular. That's just me. Sedona Vortexes.
I was going to say, yeah,
Sedona
sounds like a desert, like hippie town.
Yeah, and it has a little
that
more...
would have changed eventually. Mm-hmm. You know what I'm saying? Like
the Schnebly Vortexes. And then basically the New Age movement started coming in the 80s. It was author and psychic Paige Bryant, who wrote a book called The Sedona Vortex Experience, brought awareness to the concept of Sedona energy vortex in the 1980s. The harmonic convergence, which was a globally synchronized meditation event, took place in 1987, drawing spiritual seekers to Sedona to partake in the event's transformative energy. These events with for its various spiritual teachers, healers, artists who settled in Sedona, and now they, created this kind of new age Disneyland, as the one article described it. And like I said, also as well, the another area where there's tons of UFO sightings. And I mentioned before the theory that there's like a spaceship buried underneath, or when the History Channel did their show there, they apparently witnessed several UAPs flying around. It's always,
yeah,
they're always where the energy vortex is. And of course, there's, it's on a ley line. Just like the Rosslyn Chapel as well, supposedly. The old Falkirk Triangle. Falkirk.
Falkirk, yeah.
All right, we're going to take a quick break. When we come back, we will go to another desert, but in Mexico this time, to Mexico's Zone of Silence. Here on Think Theory Radio right after this.
You're listening to WCPT 820 because facts matter.
Welcome back to Think Theory Radio. Today we are venturing around the world to many different mysterious places. I should have said mysterious locales to just feel it out. Mysterious locales.
And places to astonish. I don't know.
Places to admonish.
There you go.
Or places to vanish.
Yeah, right. Disappear here.
Mm-hmm. Which has happened in Mexico's Zone of Silence. It's like the, was it Get Smart had the cone of silence? Is that what it was?
Yeah. Right, and like the cone would go over their heads or something like that, yeah.
Supposedly, in Mexico's Zone of Silence, radio signals fail and meteorites crash. And UFOs appear out of thin air. And also tall, blonde helper aliens, if you can believe it. There's an area in the Chihuahuan Desert in northern Mexico where the radio signals don't work and compasses spin out of control when placed near stones in the ground. It is called the Zone of Silence. It measures only 50 kilometers across and is located in the Mapimi Biosphere Reserve, a huge, mostly uninhabited expanse of almost 400,000 hectares, where the flat and desolate terrain is interspersed with lonely mountain outcrops. The zone is my passion, Benjamin Palacio says, as he tours people through the area with his four-wheel drive Suburban surrounded by mesquite cactus and guamis, which is a brilliant yellow flower resembling buttercups. Palacio, 61, grew up in the village of Escalon, Chihuahua, on the edge of the zone, and now has his own UFO-themed ranch. So there you go. Now the history of it, I guess, goes back. Well, there's different parts of the history of it, but there was several big meteorite crashes there, I guess, and one in 1938, another in 1954, and then a third fell in 1969 in the Allende Valley just to the west. And Mr. Palacio has lived in the area for many years and has seen the meteorites crash. He saw the one in 69. It woke me, and I saw the firmament alight. People for miles saw the light and heard the tremendous noise which broke windows and attracted the attention of scientists from around the world. Now, the name Zone of Silence was not given until 1966 when Pemex, the national oil company, sent an expedition to explore the area. The leader, Augusto Harry de la Peña, was frustrated by the problems he was having with his radio. He christened it the Zone of Silence. And this turned the area into something of a curiosity. Now, before that, one of the earliest stories in the mythos was that, I believe it was somewhere in the 1930s, I think I read somewhere 1938, a local pilot by the name of Francisco Sarabia, who was said to have been flying over the area when his radio suddenly stopped working and his instruments spun wildly out of control. And he's a famous pilot as well. So if it is true, he does have, he has some credibility. But it's there doesn't seem to be solid evidence documenting this event that supposedly occurred to him, and it might have been a kind of myth created later and applied to the area. But one interesting thing is that on July 11th, 1970, the Athena rocket launched from U.S. Air Force Base in Green River, Utah, as part of a scientific mission to study the upper atmosphere. The rocket was supposed to come down near White Sands, New Mexico. Instead, it went wildly astray and at 2 in the morning crashed in the heart of the zone of silence. So now the zone, although kind of, briefly, was in the international spotlight. And this is when, locals saw some tourism opportunity. But guess who came down to visit and take care of the business with the rocket debris? Mr. Werner von Braun, the famous Nazi rocket scientist who helped create NASA and build our space program, came to investigate on behalf of the U.S. He was greeted at the train station by Palacio's father, who was then the mayor of Escalon. Von Braun took reconnaissance flights in a Cessna to confirm the crash site. With the aid of 300 Mexican workers, a 16-kilometer rail spur was built across the desert to the impact crater. A team of Americans then came and excavated. I suppose Americans brought temporary dormitories, labs, kitchens, medical facilities, set them up right there in the desert. Von Braun was there for 28 days after the crash. They even built this runway to transport cargo directly to Houston. And I think there was the rocket had cobalt-60 in it. It's highly radioactive. And then it's all gone now. There's no evidence of the 5-story, 7-ton rocket, the impact crater, the rail spur, any of the structures. But obviously that kind of created a mythos around the place, combined with the Pemex name, the zone of silence, the radio signal is not working there. It does seem to have a tremendous amount of meteorites falling there for some reason. There is a theory that it's, again, some magnetite under the ground and create some kind of magnetic field that could either, this is what's disrupting the radio signals, but also could be attracting the meteorites, if that's the right word. This also is there's tons of fossils there because at one time, millions of years ago, the zone was under the Sea of Tethys. Is it Tethys?
I have no idea.
Thetys. Tethys. Or we'll go with that. And the remnants of which can be seen in fossilized seashells and vast salt deposits. It's very inhabitable area. It's hard to get around. A lot of people have gone missing there. And there's tons of stories of aliens and unidentified flying objects in the zone. Now, supposedly, when people get lost in the zone, these tall blonde beings appear out of nowhere. Different articles I read, some describe them as these Nordic aliens, and then others believe that they are actually Maya, that they are ancient Maya. Those who've claimed to encounter the tall, fair-haired aliens say that the individuals speak perfect Spanish, ask only for water, and disappear without so much as a footprint. When asked where they come from, the beings, known as Nordics, they say only above. And even Mr. Benjamin Palacios has a story. He says, I was 12 years old when a light appeared from above and completely encircled us. I was traveling with my brother in the zone. We didn't know what was happening. When we got back to the ranch, we realized we had lost 2 hours. And now he has a UFO ranch. And obviously they're trying to boost tourism in the area because it's a very, it's a desert area. A lot of tourists go there. So it's hard to know if, how much of this is just a kind of trying to, profit driven, right? As opposed to, I feel like there's a little more teeth in Sedona and the Rosslyn Chapel. This one, it's like, I don't know.
Yeah.
It's a cool name. I like Zone of Silence. And I'm all for, hey, if they can make some money off of it, why not? But yeah, it's aside from the rocket crashing there, which is kind of strange if you think about it. You have this place that's 30 miles across, tons of meteorites fall there. And for some reason, rockets go, astray and crash and do whatever they're going to do sometimes. Just ask, who.
Okay. No, I don't know who. Is this man made of money that you were talking about? He has all these rockets to crash?
Yeah.
Oh, must have a lot of money.
His name rhymes with elephant tusk.
Oh, okay.
But it's strange that this rocket, this huge, NASA rocket, which was supposed to crash, where did I say? Well, somewhere in Arizona, I think.
Oh, okay. I thought you said like Rocky Mountains or something.
Well, I know it launched from Utah. I'm not going back to that. But that's it's a far area away. Did it somehow attract the rocket down and bring it crashing into this zone of silence? Others say that its unique atmospheric conditions are affecting the radio waves in the zone, like fluctuations in the ionosphere or solar activity. And like I said, there's different kind of like weird anomalies there. There were some people that I guess were collecting fossils. There was a couple, and they got hit by this huge flash flood, right? And they were trapped in their cars, and that out of nowhere, those blonde aliens arrived and set them free, and then they just disappeared. So I don't know these, the blonde aliens.
The Blonde Aliens? Sounds like a 80s movie or something.
Yeah, or a band.
Yeah, Blonde Aliens. Oh, yeah, no, they're great.
All right, that's it for today's show. We'll be back again next week and every Saturday, 6 to 7 p.m. right here on WCPT 820 Think Theory Radio.